So keep it simple. We knew that it was going to simplify things, right? But to understand that you went from half a day Friday working on the schedule to 10 minutes, because of the simplicity of the tool. It's easy to use.
We were very happy and pleased that when we put that front end work together with you guys, that we were able to achieve the results that we had, and now fully transitioned, like Jim said, 17 active projects into Outbuild, and everything from those bid schedules now start there all the way through the end of construction, stay inside Outbuild. So we're extremely happy with where we turned out.
So, previously I'd spend a good part of the weekend going through project folders, looking at the Excel spreadsheets for the look aheads, the project schedules. Why isn't this connected to that? And I spend a big part of my weekends doing it every weekend for every job. Now it's all right there on one page. And if I'm in a big hurry, I can look at that one page and it gives me a nice little graph, and I can see right where everybody's updated to, and it just makes life a whole lot easier on that side of it.
So we're really excited about the future here at TR.
Yeah, the one team, one goal mindset really goes throughout the entire company.
Just remember, 100% natural. There's no cameras or lights in the room. We've got a very big editing budget too, so we can get rid of all the chins. I'll be 100 pounds lighter and a full head of hair by the end of this.
We'll have 8 seconds of clip.
Yeah.
YouTube short. Yeah.
Beautiful. No, let's start with introductions, y'all. Would love to get to know you guys, your roles with the company. If you don't mind, give us a little background on kind of your foray into construction. Cool. Start with you, Ben.
So my name is Benjamin Carter. I am with Talley Riggins. I'm the manager of lean and operational innovation. So what I do, or my role specifically, is to make our processes more effective and efficient for our people. And I also align that with our company's strategic goals throughout the year, and really grow the lean process and framework within Talley Riggins. It's not what we do, it's really how we do business at Talley with lean. So we're here having fun with Outbuild.
Heck yeah. Fernando Garcia with Talley Riggins, IT solutions, architects. Basically anything IT related is my forte, right? So that's what I do. And I work really closely with Ben and Jim, just to make sure that, all the way from the, the field guys all the way to the office, that we're using the right tools and be as efficient as we can.
Very cool.
Jim Gintoris, General Superintendent. My role is to support the field, everybody out there in the field. Make sure they have what they need to be successful, and always help them to be more efficient and more productive. So.
Nice.
Tanner Ashton, Superintendent, Talley Riggins. Got about 20 years in the industry. That's it. That's all I got to say.
That's all you need to say. That's a resume in itself right there.
20, he's a rookie. I got 40.
Okay, all right. It's no competition, but you're winning.
The AG won it.
I'd love to kind of learn a little bit more about Talley Riggins for the folks at home that don't know. I mean, you guys are a growing massive commercial operation, but would love to kind of understand a little bit more about the company and y'all's take on construction.
So Talley Riggins is a general contractor. We're 6 years old. We got about 83 employees, I think was the last count. We work in a wide range of divisions, from aviation to worship to healthcare to corporate finish out. I know I'm forgetting one. Industrial. Yep. I mean, we got work across 5 or 6 different divisions. Currently have 17 active projects on Outbuild across the DFW area. From Sherman all the way down to the coast is how far we go all the way around here. So been in business for a little over 6 years now, and the things TR has done in 6 years have been pretty impressive.
Yeah, both our owners, Doug Talley and John Riggins, have allowed what Jim was talking about. Their vision and mission was really to be very diverse in what we do here in the DFW area, and that's just allowed for this tremendous growth. And then through that growth, they've also supported us being a lean construction firm, and through that, it's also enabled us to have a lot more for our people to be able to grow. And it's not just how we, not just what we do, it's how we do business here at TR. So we're really excited about the future here at TR.
Yeah, the one team, one goal mindset really goes throughout the entire company.
Mm.
So.
Yeah. and I can speak from my position. I mean, getting to meet more of the team, the more I get to peel back the layers and introduce myself to the rest of the operation. It's great to see that because you see it in everybody, the way they interact, the way they light up. It's a great culture you guys have built at Talley Riggins for sure. Talk to me a little bit about some of the projects y'all are working on. Is there anything you guys are fired up about right now that you guys are running through, or something that's coming up?
That's a good question.
No jobs stand out to you?
I mean, like I said, we got a lot of jobs across a lot of different divisions, and each one of them is different. We're currently working out at DFW Airport, which is a big project because it's all behind the scenes, and you can't interfere with any of the airline operations. And plus, it's pretty cool driving down on a tarmac right next to the airplanes, right?
That doesn't hurt.
No, it's pretty cool. And even across the other divisions, we're doing our 4th project for Clear Sky Rehab Hospitals, and got a couple more on the books for them. So they've been real good, and the projects have been great. And our worship side does some amazing work in the worship sector all across town. So a lot of interesting, diverse, different projects out there.
Yep.
Hard to pick out just one that stands out when there's so many of them.
Is that part of y'all's strategy, kind of diversifying your portfolio as far as projects go, or is that just kind of been something you guys are feeling out, different markets and industries?
Yeah, that's a big part of our growth strategy. And as we're maturing those different business segments, it's allowing the growth within our people. And that all goes back to what Jim was talking about, our one team, one goal. And the goal behind that is to put people first. And it allows for that just tremendous growth. And that's why we've seen that here in the past 6.5 years with TR. So it's helped us immensely.
What are the tenets of TR? I know that one team, one goal is absolutely a big pillar of that. But what are some of the other ones that you guys focus on?
So our core values, we can talk a little bit about servant leadership is a huge one for us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ever drew a blank there. I didn't expect you to pick up core values. Tanner, you want to
Can I Google that real quick?
No phone
sorry,
friends.
no phone and friends.
It's okay. We only have one fan at home. Hey, Mom.
Please cut that part out. Somebody else speak to one of the core value ones. Tanner, you want to talk to one?
Sure don't.
Stewardship.
This is a safe space, guys.
The one core value that's my favorite is the integrity, that doing the right thing all the time with everybody, because it's really about people. It's construction. I mean, we're dealing with material, but it's all put in place and it's all done by people. And if you're not operating with integrity, it turns a culture bad pretty quick.
Yep.
So to me, that's the one that stands out.
Yep. Absolutely. No, it's doing the little things when no one's watching, right? They all add up to bigger picture and ultimately what make us successful. And obviously has led to you guys growing as rapidly as you have in the 6 years you've been around, which is awesome to see and be a small part of. So awesome. Share a little bit about what life was like before Outbuild, right? You guys were using scheduling softwares. You had some planning practices in place. You guys were very lean focused, I know, at the time. I don't know, Fernando, if you want to talk to project management software, what you guys are using, and then from a scheduling standpoint.
Yeah, sure. So before we were using Outbuild, we were, of course, using MS Project, right? The typical tool.
I've heard of it.
And so, but we also have, our ecosystem there, for Talley Riggins is, we've got the project management tools, Procore, those types of things. But along with that, there's all these other tools that we kind of marry together that kind of help us, from a use case perspective down, from the field all the way up. And it was challenging, without Outbuild and now with Outbuild, it's just made everything so seamless.
Yeah, and so all of our jobs, we run the last planner system, so we use the boards in an analog way. But it was when me and Fernando were kind of going through the motions of how do we get the right tech to fit, and that's where you came in and said, how do we serve Talley Riggins better? How do we incorporate what we have at Outbuild into what you guys have going on, and then be able to digitize the other end, which was Microsoft Project and Excel, and then marrying those two while still being able to have that same culture we have with the last planner system and our trade partners out there on the project side. So we were able to connect using Outbuild, the look ahead and the master scheduling tool, to be able to marry that as one while still being able to maintain our integrity on the job sites with the trades and having them use the board. So it's just been a huge success for us to be able to deploy that in the right strategic way for us. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of our big use cases is how can we digitize what we have, right? Because it's been working great. but we got to kind of move it to the next step, and that's what Outbuild helped us do.
And why digitize, right? Why do we take that next step? Was it inefficiencies? Was there some disconnects or some silos that we were working with? Or what do you think really led you guys down the path of looking for a solution in the first place and saying, hey, we have a problem, we want to solve it, and there's got to be a better way to do this?
Yeah,
Well,
so listening to the field, I mean, that right there takes us to where we're at now. We, again, we're not just kind of throwing tools out there, right? We want to make sure that we're solving a problem, and that the problem that we're solving is helping the field. And so once you marry those two things together, it was just, makes things a lot easier.
Yep, makes perfect sense. So if I'm understanding right, we're using Procore as our project management software. We had MS Project as our scheduling tool. That's what our project managers were typically creating our contract schedules with.
Sometimes it'd be the superintendent. Just depends on who had the more skill set in doing the actual project scheduling.
And sometimes even the estimating department that put the schedule together, and they just use that same one throughout the whole project.
And I mean, as a superintendent, you guys look at that schedule and use it as a holy grail, right? That's all you build off of? Is that master schedule y'all create at the front end?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Everything goes back to it, ties back in.
No, but seriously, on the superintendent side, what were you guys using? What was your typical go-to tool in the field when you guys were coordinating? You had your lean board, you guys had the last planner system in place, but when you needed to communicate that out to the trades, how were you communicating that next 3-week, 4-week look ahead?
We were using Excel, which was created each and every week. Took time every week to do. Took time away from me doing my job.
Yeah, not the main focus, right? Data entry, as fun as it is for everybody, it's not something we got to do all the time.
Right. It was only, you kind of dreaded doing it every Friday before you send it out to the trades.
I mean, it was a process between updating the last planner boards and then updating the 6-week and schedule, and they were probably spending half their Fridays just doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And getting that out, because
Every project team.
every project team across the company, because we send them out 6-week look aheads every Friday to all the trades. I mean, because communication is key. So, I mean, you got to get that communication out. And like we said, we do it the manual way prior to Outbuild, and it was a half a day process.
Yeah, because you really can't tell the story, right? It's like because you're kind of working, building your schedule, putting all this together, but you still can't really see the full aspect of what we're doing, together, right? And, and so that was one of the toughest things to kind of come across over as well.
And it wasn't a set standard across the board. Everybody did it a little bit different to where the final product of that 6-week look ahead always looked different. And you got one trade you use a lot, he might be getting 3 or 4 of those look aheads, and they all look different, and he's able to decipher each one. Whereas now it's all streamlined and pretty consistent across the board.
Yeah, which is kind of the 2-part problem that Outbuild kind of helped us with, which was one, taking up that time where the superintendent was working with the project team, updating that schedule, 2 or 3 hours, down to just, I don't know, how long does it take you now, Tanner, to update with Outbuild?
Takes me and my team 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Damn.
Yeah.
So beats a half day.
Absolutely.
It's an easy project too, though.
Well, and that's also kind of helped us, now that we've got that in place, it kind of shines a light on other things that we need to go tackle now, right? And so that's one of the other cool things about Outbuild is it's now that's set, right? Yeah. So what other things are we seeing? What other efficiencies? And again, we go back to the field. Hey, what's going on? What are you seeing?
Yeah. And I love that you guys start with listening to the field, right? That's the tip of the spear for us. That's the head of this whole thing is how do we make things more efficient? How do we clear roadblocks and get these hurdles out of your way so that you guys have an easier time getting this project built on budget, on schedule, and completely safely and get everyone home back to their families, which is what it's all about. I'd love to kind of take a step back. You guys had identified the problem as a team. You knew there was an issue. You were listening to the field and getting that engagement and that buy-in with what we needed to do. How did that introduction into Outbuild go? What was that process look like, looking for solutions? Were there other things that you guys had looked at before Outbuild? Maybe give me a feel for that. Bonus points if you can tell me your favorite, 6'4", blonde-haired, blue-eyed sales guy that works for Outbuild. I mean, totally up to you guys. Pick your favorite. No wrong choice.
So for blonde hair.
Well, it's back there.
It's what's left.
It's back
We're
there.
looking for it, yeah. It's in the beard.
Okay, edit this out.
Good.
Bad idea.
So looking at how we kind of got to that place is we went down to pen and paper to let's do a vendor analysis, right? And we have to document our use case. What is the problem we're trying to solve? It's not just buying the tool, right? Or, we were trying to solve problems. And so we started with building out the use case. What is a use case? And then prioritizing the use cases that we had, right? And then from there we did an analysis, right? So we looked at some other tools as well, but it was pretty easy to see.
It was a clear decision, because
Yeah.
if it's not going to be more effective for your frontline guys out there, if it's not going to make their lives easier, then that's not something that we're going to go after and tackle, because then you're just compounding, putting tech out there that we all know if it's not driven by people in construction, it's just not going to work. That's why we really wanted to come into this as a relationship and kind of build out the problem which you presented. How do I serve Talley Riggins? How do I go about what you have right now in your framework in your business, and how does Outbuild fit into that solution set? So that's a big differentiator that we saw.
And that's awesome to hear. I mean, it honestly does warm my heart, because that is absolutely what Outbuild's take on this is if we're not solving a problem, we're not adding value, and it's not a good partnership for either of us. Yeah. So the fact that you guys identified the problem, were able to isolate it, go through the evaluation process, which I hope wasn't too painful with us, even get a workshop going and get your hands on it and make sure that it did everything you needed to do. Because I know there was a lot of people that needed to get eyes on it and confirm that it checked all the right boxes for you. In that process, I mean, was there anything that caught you off guard or surprised you about Outbuild, things that you didn't expect maybe, or something that you guys thought, wow, this is, didn't even know it was a problem until we got our hands on it? Yes.
And I will say, again, going back to the field, Mr. Tanner over there, so keep it simple. We knew that it was going to simplify things, right? But to understand that you went from half a day Friday working on the schedule to 10 minutes, because of the simplicity of the tool. It's easy to use. And that was probably one of my big takeaways.
Yeah, and it needs to be, right? In this day and age, we've got enough to fight on the job site without fighting our software and our tools around us. So
that's one of the things we were looking at too when we were looking at programs and going digital was, how can we save these guys time in the field? Because the last thing we want to do is put a process or a tool in place that creates an office superintendent. The work's out there, and this frees them up more time to be able to get out there and look at other stuff. And
the safety, the quality aspect of it, everything else you guys have to manage outside of that, for sure. And if you're spending a half day every week in the trailer going through Excel documents and trying to compare that with the schedule that doesn't quite reflect what we're really getting done. That's
right. And they're not really linked at all, and it's
a lot of silos in that process.
Yes.
I definitely want to spend some time on, you guys kind of found the solution that fit you. You went through the evaluation process. You guys went to implement it. And I think a big part of this that people miss out on is that change management aspect, and really starting with the why, which is something you guys celebrate. And we've honestly, it's a page out of your book that we're taking to heart on our own implementation strategies now. But I'd love to hear from your standpoint, Ben. What was that like? Talk to me about the why and how you guys rolled this out.
Sure. I mean, we start off everything with Simon Sinek's approach is talk about the why first before you get into how and the what, right? Or the what and the how. And it's really important at TR for us to do that because, like I was saying earlier, technology is driven by people, and especially in our industry, right? So we wanted to start and clearly communicate why we're going to make this transition for our people so they can be a part of that process. So we split it up into two groups, and we had Outbuild and Taylor come in and talk about, I'll let you talk about the icebreaker a little bit, what we hated about Microsoft Project. And then we really got into our people being a part of the process and being able to communicate that out to why we were making this transition in the first place before we went out and did the trainings and did the transition into Outbuild. So.
Yeah, absolutely. The icebreaker, it's funny you bring that up. Jim is the king of all icebreakers for anybody that listens to you will understand that. But one of the things I thought was hilarious was you started that first session with, what do we not like about Microsoft Project? And the fact that we got so many answers in such a short amount of time, everybody had a response, and it wasn't the same thing every time. There was a lot of things that people identified, inefficiencies, the fact that it wasn't made for construction, the fact that there's so many buttons and we were using 5 to 10% of that on average, and the fact that it didn't really speak to the field and what was being done. But I thought that was a really effective way to start the meeting, and I honestly wish more people started things out that way.
It gave you a good groundwork the rest of the meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Winning the hearts and minds.
It was all right there written on the wall with everything we didn't like.
We saw that, and that. Yeah, absolutely. Starting with why was a big thing, but you guys had a really good process in place. And I've got the document, I've shoved it away, that I've stored and kept on. It's my artifact from when we first started talking, but you guys really did put it in place, starting with the why, introducing the concept to introduce it and let people know what was coming down the pipe. and then actually deploying Outbuild in a set format and having those dedicated training sessions. What was the success side like from our side? What was the support? Did you feel like you had everything you needed? I think Ben was our success manager in this case, Ben DeBerry. Shout out to Ben.
Ben did a great job with our training, but I think it started from the beginning with aligning our support model at TR that myself, Fernando, and Jim built with the support model that Outbuild had, marrying those two and making sure that not just for our people that we're going to go out there and get them trained, but for the process that we're going to be able to transition everything we had from project and all the projects that we're going currently on into Outbuild in a 2-month window. So that was our goal, and we achieved that from July to September. So we were very happy and pleased that when we put that front end work together with you guys, that we were able to achieve the results that we had and now fully transitioned, like Jim said, 17 active projects into Outbuild, and everything from those bid schedules now start there all the way through the end of construction stay inside Outbuild. So we're extremely happy with where we turned out.
Awesome.
I think the thing to point out too, I'm sorry, Bernie, is when you got 17 different teams, that's 17 different whys. That's 17 different teams that all learn different, and you got to be able to address each one of them. And yeah, I mean, Ben did a great job going out to each job and sitting down with these guys side by side, working with the tool with them. But in the same aspect, that help feature y'all got on the page, there's been, I mean, several of our guys have sing the praise of that. I forget the girl's name that has been answering a lot of their questions on it.
Brittany, Skylar, there's a
few
handful
of
of
them
that are just awesome. I love
But
our success team.
they're like, man, if it wasn't for that help button, it'd be, I don't know where I'd be at.
Yeah, we'd have 100 more calls. So being able to have that customer support has gone a huge way. You can't just go and call Microsoft Project or ping them and say, hey, help me out with this logic, it's not working. Whereas you guys are so tailored to construction, it just is so more effective for our people. It's just been tremendous.
Yeah, I would love to see the numbers on how many iPads that Help Chat has helped save from getting thrown out the trailer window.
At least one.
At least one. That's enough.
Yeah, but we built an adoption strategy, right, of how we were going to do it. So we got the why, we built the use cases. So now it's okay, let's implement it. How are we going to do it? So it wasn't just go out there and deploy the tool. We built an adoption strategy that we use for basically any implementations that we do, and that really kind of helped us keep us in line, throughout the process.
And I'll tie it back to your core values, because it's the integrity of looking at the little things and making sure we do it, but also the respect for people and looking out at the field and asking them for their input, introducing the concept, giving them a chance to look at it before we go down that path and make that partnership. And then at that point, Tanner, you can speak to this. I'm sure you're a little bit more receptive to changing once you knew what it was, how it works, and why it helps you on your day-to-day, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm personally technologically challenged. So the ease in using it, I was resistant at first, just because I don't really care for change that much. But after the first session with it, we realized how easy it was, and working through it, using the help button to get answers we need, calling Ben if we needed something. We realized how simple this really was and how everything tied in, and working everything through the 6-week look-ahead schedule, then ties directly back into the master schedule. It solved my personal problems with Microsoft.
And that's awesome to hear, because that's, again, the tip of the spear. That's where it all starts. If we can make your life a little easier, make things more efficient, get you home quicker, then that's definitely checking the right box for us. And operationally, I got to think that helps you guys, because you have the most up-to-date perspective from what's actually being done in the field, right? What are we doing? What are our trades input? How do we collaborate and get the buy-in from everybody at the field level, and then also inform what we're doing in the office and with the actual schedule.
I think it's important to point out too is that there's so many tools and things that Outbuild will do for us that we didn't drown the guys with all them tools at once. Yeah. We rolled out the stuff that they needed right now to get up and running, and then we'll start introducing the other tools and the other features on a regular basis that let them master this part of it first before we start plugging other tools into them.
Yeah, so we were very specific with the two parts of Outbuild, was the master schedule and then the look ahead. We wanted our guys to get that first before we started using the weekly work plan and the analytics and PPCP. So it was really going after, let's get that connected schedule lined up. That way these guys can go out there, have more time on their hands, and then actually spend more time with the team, really scheduling and getting out ahead of what we call, being predictive, right, in construction. So we're not reacting all the time. We're not just being a little bit proactive. We like to be as predictive as possible, seeing all those issues out as far as we can. Outbuild has helped us achieve that in a huge way with roadblocks and how we manage constraints and issues for us.
Yeah.
That's absolutely phenomenal here. You took the words right out of my mouth. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about collaboration, right? I mean, trade partner involvement is a huge process with Talley Riggins and an approach to your success. How have you guys been able to leverage Outbuild and the collaborative nature of it to help foster that discussion and get buy-in with all the subs and trades involved?
Yeah, sure. So the entire schedule is built off of a pool plan, which is all the trades commitments.
Mm-hmm.
Then our 6-week look ahead is all built off of our lean boards. So it's never me telling the trade, this is what you're going to do. This is the trade telling me, this is a commitment I'm making you. And that's what we transfer into Outbuild.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because not everybody sees it that way, right? You look at other contractors out there in the world and you see builders that take an approach of, I know what's best. I'm going to kind of force my message out into the field. I'm getting a smile from Jim because I know he's got some thoughts on that as well. But the big thing here is what are we missing out on, right? If we're going to be closed-minded and not open up the discussion to the people doing the work, the experts in what they do, we're giving them millions of dollars in work packages, and we're not going to sit there and ask them for their input on how we should approach and best solve these problems that we're dealing with every day.
Well, they also don't care. If I tell them, look, I have to have you done by here, they're like, okay, if I miss that deadline, whatever.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
But if they're telling me, look, Tanner, I can be done at this date, well, I promise Talley Riggins I'm going to be done at this date. We need to do everything we can to get there. Yeah. And that's been the change I've seen since we started using the last planner system and Outbuild.
Yeah. You get a whole lot more results driving the bus than you do pushing it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you get everybody on the bus and you're all going the same direction. You're all doing the same thing. You're getting there, you're arriving together. Whereas you got people behind you pushing, you got people getting run over. It's never a good atmosphere. When you drive the job versus push it, you get a whole lot better response.
Yeah. And you talk about being in that bus together, which is huge, but also keeping those lights green is a big part of that. And that's where those roadblocks come into play.
Yeah.
Being able to clear those hurdles, get those constraints and issues out of the way so that we can keep the work moving and maximize flow and production on the job site. Awesome. Well, we've implemented Outbuild. You guys have 17 projects rocking and rolling today. Talk to me about the success stories. What are we seeing? Time savings, efficiencies. Are we avoiding delays, avoiding rework? I'd love to hear just kind of y'all's input on the.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for us is we're able to be a lot more predictive now, and then we're also able to put back in the frontline workers that time back in their hands to be able to look at more things that we need to get out in front of. Mm-hmm. And the big success for us, and I know we just finished rolling this out. We can actually see everything that we're planning is connected with what we're doing out there in the field, even from a high level perspective across the board in all of our projects. Whereas before, myself and Jim would be sorting through days of Excel sheets and project schedules and trying to tie everything together and talking with the teams and making sure that we're out ahead as far as we can be. Outbuild just helps streamline that whole thing. The whole picture is right there in front of us, and we're able to connect the dots a lot easier. So.
Yeah, and I think with what Ben was talking about too, it's when they're going through like the project plans, the Excels and all that stuff, that's a point in time, right? Mm-hmm. And so now you're able to get see it a lot more real time than you were before. So that was another big piece that I.
Yeah, you're not lagging between one Excel spreadsheet and the next week or the next month when I finally get the latest version.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, previously I'd spend a good part of the weekend going through project folders, looking at the spreadsheet, looking at the Excel spreadsheets for the look aheads, the project schedules. Why isn't this connected to that? And I spent a big part of my weekends doing it every weekend for every job. Now it's all right there on one page. And if I'm in a big hurry, I can look at that one page and it gives me a nice little graph and I can see right where everybody's updated to. And all right, I need to go look at this one.
Yep.
And it just makes life a whole lot easier on that side of it.
Yep. Get you back to watching the stars where you want to be, right?
Oh, I always watch the stars.
Data integrity.
Go Stars.
Integrity.
I've moved concrete pours for games.
I don't doubt that.
I have, yeah.
I do not doubt that.
One thing we didn't talk about was the documentation. So if you move a date, it asks you why and documents is you gotta get permission. So when you go back 6 months later, well, why did the schedule push a week? Now I have the answer right there where Microsoft projects, now I've got to go back through all my delay logs and figure out what I was missing. It's all right there, which has really helped us, especially with dealing with owners.
Yeah.
This is what this decision's affecting. Here's where it is. And
in your mind, has that enhanced communication with your ownership, being able to tell that narrative a little bit better about where things went off the tracks, why they changed, and who was impacted?
well, absolutely, because they don't ask you that week.
Yeah.
They ask you months later, and now I've got to go back through and remember what we were doing or go through my paperwork and find it. Now it's just right there. And I can say, well, can you remember when it took you a week to get me that answer? This is what it affected in the project.
Right then and there.
Yeah,
Right.
Outbuild tells the whole story right there in
Mhm.
one picture.
And you change that one thing too, and it'll show you, oh, this item's 5 days behind now, this
Mhm.
item's 7 days behind. And project would shift everything out, but it didn't tell you where you're losing time at.
No.
This one identifies it to where, hey, I got to work on this item to get this reeled back in. It helps identify the future constraints so much better now than just having to go back and research it all.
Yeah, even with your job now, Tanner's able to put out those kind of predictive models to see where he needs to make up some time on based off those changes.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Where's our risk, right? If I lose 5 days here, it may not seem like a lot today, but when I get 6 months into the project and I have a few of those, all of a sudden I'm trying to do a lot of work in a short amount of time, and that's no place we want to be.
Right.
Another good place from talking about efficiencies is from the tech stack perspective, right? So one less tool that I've got to implement, deploy, keep updated. I mean, so it just kind of leans out the endpoint, and it's just, like I said, just makes that part easier to manage as well.
Yeah, and we didn't really get into the integration back into Procore, but I mean, that's your system of truth, right? And the fact that before we didn't really have a connection between what the field was doing in the Excel spreadsheets, what our office had in MS Project, none of that was really tying back into Procore.
Correct.
Has that changed a little bit? Have you guys seen some results from being able to have that integration a little bit more streamlined?
Absolutely, because now our schedules in Procore are a lot cleaner. And when you have a good clean schedule in Procore, I mean, all the other pieces fall right into place as well. Talk about submittals and all that other good stuff. So
right there on the front page, you can see the milestones, the daily things that are supposed to be happening. So it's easy to see from an overall perspective right through Procore.
Yeah, I mean,
what
it was
the
a
guys are working
50-50
on.
shot before if the schedule was accurate in Procore, if it was even there. Now it's all just a seamless button.
You're not chasing shared drives and hoping you're looking at the same one everyone else is referencing to.
Yeah. Or does the superintendent have a different schedule saved on his computer that we're not seeing that he's giving everybody else? I mean, it's all right there. It helps everybody hold accountable, not just ourselves, but our team members and our trades and owners, everybody.
Yeah.
So.
And I think even like the ones that are using Outbuild that are managing that schedule, right? I'm sure, like Tanner was saying, it's like it helps them understand where they're really at, where they can now see other things that they weren't able to before because they were so busy just trying to put it together.
Yep.
But you said, I think we're spending less time managing the schedule, more time managing the job because of Outbuild. There's people that would get in there and mess with that schedule every day, manipulate it, change this, change that, and they're always on time. Until the job comes to the end, next thing you know, you're working 200 hours a week. Whereas now, that takes away that manipulation to where the people are forced to account for it the way it really is. And it just gives them a better picture of where they're really at.
Yeah, Outbuild, it sets the framework and aligns that schedule vertically. And like Jim was saying, now we can't manipulate the schedule because what's actually happening in the field with the trade partners has to align with that schedule now. And then as those notifications get out, the team's all looking at those collectively together. So it actually helps achieve just better results. And we can't manipulate things like we could with Excel and Project before as we did in the past. So.
Yeah, and that's a great point, right? You can trick a schedule to say anything you need it to at the end of the day, but it doesn't make it true. And that's really what matters.
Absolutely.
Is what are we actually getting done and how does this help my field team?
Yep.
Data integrity.
Data integrity.
Data
We'll preach
integrity.
that. Awesome, my friend. Awesome. No, we're excited to be a part of the Talley Riggins family. We're looking forward to the next 6 years of growth with you guys and can't wait to see how this plays out. And we're just fired up to be a part of the winning strategy with you guys. So to that end, let's fire up some of these stoves and enjoy the rest of this.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't have a lighter.
I need to get a light.
Poor
Let's
planning.
fire up. I'll go back there and grab one. Hang on.
Oh, he's
Just want to give a quick shout out to Renegade Cigars, Brandon Hayes and Nate Simons for allowing us to do this here. You know, a big part about construction is all in and around people, and this is where myself, Jim, Fernando, Tanner spent a lot of time with Taylor as we got to the point where we were going to go with Outbuild. So it's all about people in construction, and cigars really brings about that camaraderie. So that's why we're here at Renegade Cigar Lounge over here in Richardson.
Amen. Thank you, Renegade, and thank you guys again for giving us the time. We really do appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.